Last time on Just Create, I built an ice farm that the snowmen promptly escaped from and made a right old mess, and built the lobby to our mini-golf course. And the course itself, of course, still has no holes in it, but we're getting there. Hopefully we'll actually get some in today. But first we need to finish the exterior of this building, which means more details on the building itself, and a series of giant mechs out the front here. Now I want these mechs to be similar to each other, very cohesive with each other, but I do want them to have differences as well. And what I really want to be able to do is make them posable, if possible. And I want these bots to look cool, of course, so I think we're going to hop over into Creative World, come up with a few designs there, as that way we'll have access to the entire selection of blocks in the game, and then we can work out how to get any weird blocks we've used later. But we should end up with something pretty cool. Hopefully. That's 2 hopefullys and we're barely a minute in. Let's go get designing. So first up, let's just build the bots we know we already have. So these are our tiny little bots. They're very simple to make. It's just a grindstone wheel, a barrel, 2 levers. Then we need a smart observer there and a redstone link on top. So that's our basic bots. We do have a variant of this one as well. So let's quickly build that. The difference here being this is the dude that carries the depot. And as a result, we can use any block we like on the body, but they are our 2 basic bots. Now what I want to do is take the same kind of style, so what sort of steampunky, clockworky type thing, use of wood and stuff like that, and make one that's like 10 blocks tall, maybe more. So let's start with the feet and work our way upwards. They'd look quite good as sort of ends of the feet, but maybe we want copycat stairs. Slices could come in handy, and let's use some stripped spruce maybe. So feet, we do something like this. My initial thought is we'll have some kind of little bar that goes around just to cover up the top of the millstone here. Then maybe girders for legs. Look a bit thin, don't they? Maybe we'll swap those out in a moment, but I'm thinking for the actual leg joints we could do something like this, with one of these grindstones in the center. Now, these legs, how do we make them look a bit more chunky? We could swap out some of it for industrial iron. Oh, that looks much better already. Yeah, I like that. Ooh, what we could also do, maybe, is stick shafts through. Which way do we like? I think I prefer sideways. Yeah, that's looking cool already. So next up, let's build up a body segment. So maybe we stick a fan in there for his chest piece. Get some more spruce on with the stairs. Okay, maybe we need more cogs. Though he is looking a bit thin, isn't he? How about we maybe fatten him out a little bit and use one of those? Yeah, that's cool. More cogs maybe? I'd say we're making some pretty good progress so far. Now, let's get some arms on, and I want the arms to be able to move, ideally. So, let's start with a mechanical bearing. Stick that in there, so that's going to twist this piece. But ideally, I probably want the arms to be there. Maybe what we could do is grab a bracket, do something like that. And then if we glue this bit here, we're going to need a valve handle on there, but that should enable us to lift the arm up and down. Although I don't want to be using girders for arms. Let's see. Maybe these? This is going to be a bit too much. I do want them to have chunky arms. That might be a bit much. They're giant, aren't they? Right, let's maybe try getting an arm on this side as well. So we could turn one of these arms into a drill or something. I think maybe it needs to be boxed in a little bit. I mean, that is quite a chunky arm. What about this one? Is there a way we can make it look like he's holding a block? If we do the same thing here, could we give him, like, little fingers? This looks stupid. Okay, we'll figure out what we're going to put in his hand later. For now, let's work out the rest of this dude. So how about a water wheel there? You want to be using the creepy faces again? That looks so stupid. It's got, like, a tiny little head. I wonder, maybe not. How about Nixie tubes? Oh, look, give him little eyes. Okay, that's quite cool. I quite like that. Accidental robot eyes. Love it. Let's maybe give this guy some chunkier shoulders and more cogs, maybe. And maybe we can give him some chunky shoulder pads as well. Looking a bit flat on the back, though, isn't he? Let's chunk him out a little bit, so we can maybe use some furnaces, maybe a couple of fans. Then can we get away with putting in some pipes? Is this going to be too much? Probably going to want to encase those ones. I know, it does look quite cool. Especially with the pump in there. Maybe stick a few more bits and stuff and things to it. All right, so this dude's actually looking pretty cool. Liking that. Maybe what we could do, though, is add Couple of copper rods down here. Yep, a few more pipes, bit more structure. And his legs maybe need a little bit more still. Should we give them some flappy bits? This guy's actually pretty cool. I like him. Does he need maybe like a little aerial? Okay, now suddenly he's a whole lot cuter. I like that. Let's find something weird to put in his hand. Ooh, how about a haunted bell? Yep, that's looking pretty weird. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Let's do some tests and see if we can actually move his arms around. Let's get all of this glued together. And if we glue that to that to that, we'll set this to only place when anchor destroyed. Turn this down to like 6 or 7 degrees and... Oh, he's ringing the bell every time I turn his arm. That's what that is. But he's already looking cool, being able to pose his arms. Let's do this one as well. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. Question is, can we articulate the body as well? Let's just reset these arms back to position. Because I know for a fact that if we have these at an angle, they are an entity and they won't spin with the body. So I guess we're going to have to choose whether we do the arms or the body, or maybe we could like do an arm and then do the body. That's if we could even make this bit spin. Right, so what do we need to stick together here? If we stick the arm to the shoulder pads, and the shoulder pads across there, and stick that arm on. That means the arms are now attached to the body, but only by this bit here, which is going to be important. Oh, geez, this is going to be a confusing job to glue. I guess we want all that bottom bit. We want this bit. We want that bit, but we have to make sure we don't connect that to the shoulder in there. Jeez, this is complicated. Right, yeah, glue all of that. Then we can glue all of that. Get those pipes glued in. Top bit's easy enough. Do that to the eyes. It's a bit of a messy glue job, but I think I've got what I need. The question is, where do I put the spinner? I guess it's going to need to be probably right there. Which means I need to re-glue this bottom bit, because that can't be glued to the structure. Right, so let's glue around the outside of it. And glue that to that. Right, I have no idea if I've glued this correctly or not, but I guess there's only one way to find out. And let's do only when anchor destroyed. Turn that down a bit. So this should spin everything apart from these pipes, the bottom of the legs. And no, that should be it. It should take the arms with it on this occasion. Nope, it's taking nothing. Apparently the fan in the middle is not attached to anything. Good job, Beardy. Right, let's attach that to the fan in front. Okay, well, we've spun a bit more this time, but now this bit isn't attached to the bit above it. Gluing is hard. Right, let's take this bit here and glue it all the way up to the top. Okay, that's got to be it now, surely. Yep, there we go. Oh, we've missed a bit of the pipe at the back here. But apart from that, I think we actually got everything that time. Let's destroy that again. Get this bit of pipe glued on. Now... yeah, look at that. We can spin him round. So that's cool. Although it has made his eyes go out. But I'm sure that's something to do with one of the rendering packs I have turned on, which I did turn off briefly, and it did actually work with the entities. Let me quickly go figure that out. Yep, I thought as much. It was iris shaders. I didn't even have shaders turned on, but if you just have the mod itself toggled on in the mod pack, then you don't get to see the eyes when it's a contraption. So yeah, this is good. Now, one more test. If we put him back, stick these bits back on again, and if we say, move that arm, oh, that was not good. Right, lesson learned. Make sure that this is set to only place when anchor destroyed before messing around with it. But when I was doing that, I noticed a big gap here, and I don't really like that. Now, how about we add a giant cog? Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I like that. Just get those glued in. Right, now, the test I was going to do before I destroyed everything was going to be to raise an arm a little bit there, lower an arm a little bit over here, and then see what happens when we spin the body. Okay, so the arms, of course, don't move, but I'll tell you what, it still looks cool. It actually works. Maybe if I spin him back just a little bit. Look at that, it looks like he's waving at us. Yeah, I like that. So I guess we now have a fully posable robot. This makes me very happy. So what I want to do is just reset everything back to its standard positions. Stick these on again. I mean, there's probably an easier way of doing this, but this works, okay? Get them set up, but don't actually touch them. Then we can take a schematic of this dude and make a bunch of variants. So I think that's got everything. And we'll make a duplicate of him and, well, make a variant. So let's swap out some of the blocks here. Maybe this guy isn't a giant drill bot, but instead had a tiny hand. Weirdly, I actually quite like that. Yeah, okay, yeah. I think that's just ridiculous enough to make me happy. Let's maybe give this dude a slightly different head as well. And let's maybe change out this back bit a little bit too. We can add in maybe a tank and a whistle. And let's do something about this arm as well. Now, can I make it so that the girder at the end of their arm is a bit chunkier? Yeah, like that. Oh, do I need to place them differently? Like that, maybe? Okay, well, that seems to have worked. So he's got a pointy hand and maybe like a box cutter. Can we do something different with this guy's legs? Maybe make them slightly less chunky. How about maybe using plows at the front here? Okay, that looks a little bit weird. Maybe having plows on 3 sides. I mean, it's kind of cool. I think maybe these are a little bit too thin, though. So let's go back to the girders and shafts. I think it's the side bits here that look weird. Yeah, that looks better. So it's only a slight variant, but I think that works for bot number 2. Let's just make sure that the arms still turn as expected. They do. This one. Yep, old pointy boy. And the body. Yep, that all still seems to rotate perfectly as well. All right, cool. Let's just get these replaced. Got to make sure they're reset and not entities when we make the schematics after all. So that's 2 mechs. And I think for the next one, I want to do something a little bit different. Let me just quickly check something. So if a wall-to-wheel is that height, let's place this next dude 1 block higher. I think I want to stick this one on a giant wheel. Oh yeah, he looks amazing already. Very cool. Let's do something with his arms though. And this looks cool. Yeah, give him one of them, whatever that is. And in his other hand, we'll give him a big pipe tank thing, because why not? I feel like this maybe needs like a little glowy thing though. And to be honest, I think just those couple of changes might be enough for this one. I think our army of bots is actually looking pretty cool. And we can, of course, pose them all. I should probably make sure that the rest of this one is actually super glued in. Yep, that is all attached on that arm. This one is not. But other than that, nothing changed, so we should be good. I think I might change the back on some of these, though. So how about this dude? We'll have a little tank on the back. Maybe add some random blocks like these pulleys. They could be quite cool. Make something a little bit different. Let's put some green liquid in there. Although, to be honest, that would probably make more sense on this guy. He's got the weird green gun thing. Let's maybe just quickly do this. We'll give this guy a double tank. Lots of green stuff. And we'll give this guy a different colour. How about some light blue for no reason? Nope, the red looks better. Let's go with red. So they've all got slightly different backs now. This is good. Couple more details on the top of that one. That ties it together nicely. Stick a lever on top of that bit. And we'll just make sure these new bits are stuck on. All right, I reckon that will do it. So I'm going to make schematics of these. We can make other little tweaks and changes on what they're holding and so on in the world. But I think as a bot sort of, well, starting point, these are looking pretty awesome. Let's grab some more schematics and then we'll jump back on the server. So back here on the server, what I want to do is get some bots out the front here. I don't know quite how we're going to position them yet, but we'll figure that out in a moment. First up, I'm going to need to get some more stuff in my van because I know for sure I don't have what I need to make these bots in there at the moment. So let's go see what we've got in storage, and I imagine we're probably going to have to craft up a bunch of stuff as well. So first up, let's make schematics of these bots. Let's just dump him there and see what we need. It would help if I had a clipboard. And let's give this to Barry. Turn these levers, that should load up our van. And we want to build a few bots, so I'm actually going to do that again, and again, and again. And one more time for good measure. Although it does occur to me, yep, I didn't actually put the right schematic in there. Silly Beardy, I've just put loads of stuff in there I don't even need. And now we can see roughly what we're missing, not too much stuff. We should be able to buy some crushing wheels from Chosen. We can make some haunted bells and grab some pumps. We can make some speedometers. Yeah, okay, that's not too bad. And we appear to have everything else in stock already. Let's just make the missing bits. We'll send all of this spruce wood to the saw. That should strip it. Got those. Haunted bells. How do we make those? You need to haunt a bell. Well, I guess that makes sense. We can make a peculiar bell with brass. So let's just make a bunch of those, chuck them back in storage, and then we'll send those to the haunter. In fact, not all of them, just some of them. That'll be fine. And we'll grab all of that stripped wood. Make some mechanical pumps. And we just need some speedometers, which we had in there anyway, so I don't know why Barry didn't grab them. Same with the crushing wheels. We already had those as well. I think Barry's slacking off. And now, if we do our checklist, how are we looking? Oh, just the haunted bells. Right, all sorted. Let's go build some mechs. Now, the question is, how do I want to position these mechs? Do we want just one each side? Then we can have one there, one there. Maybe a couple of smaller bots going around as well. Another option is to have maybe 4 bots. I feel like that may be too many though. So how about we just have 2 out here, but we maybe raise him onto a platform? Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. Let's load this into a cannon. Double check the list. We're all good. And click play. And look at that, an instant bot. Wonderful. Now, let's give him some poses. So I think I want this dude to be waving and looking slightly towards the entrance. Yeah, he looks awesome. Like that. Now let's stick another one over the other side. And where did I line up this platform? With the pillars. Excellent. And then we'll put the wheelie one in on that side. Make sure we've still got all the stuff. Oh, no, we're missing a few things, actually. Let's go get these together. In fact, how do I even make an experience lantern? I have no idea. Block of experience, a sponge, and a copper case. A sponge. Well, that's going to be interesting, because the only way we can get sponges is, of course, by looting them. Well, I guess we're going to have to go raid an ocean monument. That wasn't on my original to-do list today. Luckily, the blast furnaces and the stained glass is easy enough. But yeah, the lantern, that's going to cause some problems. Now, it's been a very long time since I raided an ocean monument, so let's do some preparation. So first up, we're going to want a potion of water breathing, which means we're going to need a brewing stand. We're going to need water. Going to need blaze powder. We're going to need nether wart, which I don't have in storage over here, but I do have a whole lot in my redstone farm. So let's just steal a piece of this. Now, if we put in this, 3 bottles of water, that will give us awkward potions. And then we'll turn those into potions of water breathing with a pufferfish. Then we'll add the redstone dust, and what that's going to do is turn them from 3-minute potions into 8-minute potions, and that's going to give us 24 minutes underwater. Hopefully plenty of time to find a sponge. But I also want to be invisible to these guys, so that means I need potions of night vision, which I get from carrots. And then I need to put in a fermented spider eye. So I need spider's eye, brown mushroom, and sugar for that. Gonna need a golden carrot, and probably more water. Our water breathing potions are now ready, so let's do this, make some more awkward potions, get those on the go. In the meantime, we'll make our fermented spider eye. Then that will be our potions of night vision, and then this will make them potions of invisibility, and then once again, we'll make them 8 minutes long. Other than that, I just need a hoe, which needs a bit of mending, so we're gonna add some diamonds to this thing. But that should let us get the sponges nice and quickly. Then I think we're going to be good to go. Actually, no, let's be smart. Let's take some TNT as well. May as well blast our way in and make it easy, as we are going to have mining fatigue. And we also need some redstone blocks. Right, I think now we're good to go. So let's take our armor off. We can still have 1 item on, so we're going to keep our elytra. Let's grab some extra rockets. And then let's go fishing. And there's one right here. Excellent. So let's drink potion of water breathing, potion of invisibility. We're going to blast our way in at the top here. So we'll protect all sides of the TNT so it's not in water. Stick that on top and swim away. And there's the big guy. So he will have a sponge. Well, that was nice and easy. May as well have a look around though, see if he's got any more sponges laying around. I guess there are in a way more sponges laying around. Let's go for this big guy. Come here, you. Well, I haven't found any sponge rooms yet, but there's another big guy here. I'll take all the sponges I can get. Well, I was searching for sponges that long that my mining fatigue wore off, but good news, I have found a sponge room. One thing I forgot to bring with me was milk, otherwise I probably could have dug through and found this much quicker. But that's plenty of sponges, let's go home. Now, we should probably dry these sponges off, and then we'll be able to make our experience lanterns. In the meantime, let's sort out some furnaces and glass. And that's our experience lanterns. What do these actually do? Absorbs experience from nearby players and experience orb. Also works on contraptions. Okay, so I'm assuming if I just place that on the floor, it's not going to start stealing my experience. That is not what I placed. What happened? What is going on? So that's not taking anything from me, which is good. I assume it's because they need power, right? I don't want them stealing stuff. No, they don't. Oh, no, wait a minute. It is taking my power. I don't want it to... What's the range on these things? Maybe I shouldn't use this in my design. Let's stop taking my experience now. I suppose if I just let it fill up on my experience, then it's not going to steal it from other people, right? I'm sure it'll be fine. Right, let's go make the next mech. So if we put that in there, do we now have everything we need? We do. Wonderful. Get to work. Beautiful. Right, so let's raise up this arm a little bit. And maybe just rotate his body. Let's go the other way. In fact, let's maybe lower this arm. Yeah, that looks cool. Looks a little bit floaty, though. We could do with adding some light over here. So maybe what we could do is stick some panels down here. Yeah, that's better. We do the same for this guy, though. Is it going to look weird? Let's find out. No, I reckon we can get away with that. It makes them all nice and lit up as well. Yeah, I really like that. I think that looks cool. Now, also out the front here, I think I want to raise the path that goes up to the building. Means I need more panels. And we'll use the polished cut tough for this, I think. Just so it matches the stairs. Then maybe we need some deep slate slabs around here. Maybe even around this bit as well. Let's have a look. That might be a bit much. Tell you what, quite like that. If we were to replace this with a bit of grass, that could look quite nice. And on looking at that, I think the grass definitely looks better. Let's get this side switched out too. Much better. Needs more bots though. Let's stick one on the roof. Yes, a mech on the roof. That's going to look awesome. And we're missing a few bits for this dude. Let's go make those. Unless I can do it here. Looks like I might be able to. I can do the rope pulleys. Can I do the elevator pulley? No, I can't. Fine, back to base we go. There we go. We now have a full checklist. He's going to destroy a bit of the building as he goes in because he's going to have an arm that goes right through like that. But we'll just fly up there and fix that. First up, let's bring this arm out of the building. Although the building is now part of his arm. That's a problem. Let's put that... Oh no, I've done this again. I'm going to grab my jetpack. So that's the arm rebuilt. I'm just going to need to fix all the glue now because that would have got messed up as well. Now we set that to only place when anchor is destroyed. Nope, that appears to be stuck to the body now. So let's replace this again. Figure out what's going on in here. Right, hopefully that's fixed it. Yep, we're only affecting the arm now. Now let's just get a good angle on this thing so he's leaning on the building. Oh, too much. Then we'll rotate his body slightly. Yeah, that looks cool. I like that. His feet at the back here look a bit weird though, so let's get rid of that. And I wonder, could we make it look like he's stepping up onto this as well, maybe? I do that. Yeah, I really like that. I think he looks cool up there. Let's just get this building fixed up. We did smash quite a bit here. Wonderful. I think the outside's looking pretty good now. But it still doesn't say anything about minigolf. Maybe we need a big old sign on the front here. I've got an idea of what we can do for this. And what we need is a nice big area like that. And now I need to spend a bit of time in Photoshop. Back in a sec. So hopefully this is going to work. It looks pretty good, but I think it needs to be a little bit bigger. That looks about as big as we can get it, but I quite like that. That looks cool. Need to make some minor adjustments to the letters underneath, though. They look a little bit weird. So let's try that again. We'll set it to pixel art. We want that to be 128. Set that to 15 and the height to 2. Save that. And yeah, there we go. That looks much better. I actually really like that. If you've got any ideas of what we can actually write on this sign, though, then do let me know in the comments. I think we can definitely do better than just saying minigolf. But I like the idea that it's just been a banner that's hung up over the old factory. And I must say, the outside of the building, definitely looking a lot better now. We can maybe do with a bit of greenery and foliage around the grassy bits. Maybe a bit of texture up here under this wall as well. We seem to have completely missed this. But yeah, I like that. So we've got posable bots. We've got the outside looking good. We've got our lobby sorted. I think we should probably stop procrastinating and actually make a start on the holes that we're going to be building in here. Now, what with this being a bot theme, I think we're going to have it so the factory is a little bit run down once you get onto the golf course. It's going to be kind of maybe have some slightly evil vibes. Because I think I quite like the idea of the bots going a little bit rogue. I mean, they look all friendly and nice on the outside, but on the inside, what if they're causing trouble and trying to take over the factory? Just that kind of vibe. And I think to make my life easier, I also want to do the first hole, or at least the end of the first hole, right down the bottom here, because then I can just sort of weave my way around making the holes and know how much space I've got for all the others. It's much easier to build up than it is to build down. So with that in mind, I'm thinking maybe some kind of elevator on the first hole. We could even start the hole up here, have a hole in the floor that goes right the way down to the bottom, and then as the player, you jump in an elevator and go down, and then carry on the hole and putt it down there somewhere. In fact, I think that's exactly what I'm going to do. That seems like a plan. And that would also mean it would look pretty cool when you come in here and you just see kind of a creepy corridor thing going on. Now let's grab some blocks and decide how we're going to make this corridor look, well, creepy. So to start with, I guess we'll just extend out the floor. Maybe have the hole start around there somewhere. So that's where we'll start putting in ice. I guess it's going to be 5 wide at this point. That's fine. Once again, to make our lives a bit easier and so you can see what's going on as well as me, we'll just turn our brightness up. I do want to have moody lighting in this corridor though, so it's not going to stay like that for long. So if that's going to be the length of the first hole, let's get a corridor in. I was about to say so I don't fall off the edge, but this already happened. And I want the corridor to look quite bland, so how about bone blocks? And for the grand scheme of things, what I'm essentially thinking is this is going to be like a sort of maintenance elevator, I guess. And you're going to start off down in the maintenance tunnels, you'll work your way through some air vents, and then like the factory storeroom, the different levels of the factory floor, and work your way all the way up to the boss's office. And that's what I'm currently thinking. That may well change, adapt, and evolve as we start building these holes, but that gives us some kind of direction to go in, and a general concept for the overall course. Yep, I'd say that corridor is going to look suitably creepy and bland, but I'm thinking I might want it to be just a little bit longer, to be able to really whack the ball on the first hits. Yeah, that feels like a good length, and we're just going to have it so the floor has literally broken away down here, and then that's going to be a ginormous hole all the way down to the bottom. I think what we'll do is maybe get some tuff underneath and then gradually go into deep slate and then maybe black stone, potentially even black concrete, and just make it look like a really dark tube. We could even put like a door over here that's just now inaccessible, maybe off to one side slightly, as if that was the proper way to go, but you can't get there. So instead, you're going to have to use an elevator. So let's stick one of those in around here, and maybe we could even have one opposite that's kind of, well, doesn't work. Maybe a broken down one over here. That could be quite cool. Right, let's get a ceiling on and figure out how we're going to do the lighting. Because if possible, I want to have kind of flickering lighting. I want to have it going on and off a little bit. So first up, let's get the roof in. Now to decide where to put the lights. So if we have one there, maybe another one there. My plan to light them up is really quite simple. So we're going to use a pulse timer here. We're going to set this one to 8 seconds. There we go. I'm going to put a pulse extender here, which we'll set to... In fact, we'll set that one to 9 seconds, and this one needs to go on 10 seconds. And that should mean that this light is nearly always on. It will just be off for 1 second out of every 10. This one here, however, we want to do something a bit more interesting. So let's put a few pulse extenders down. We'll have a pulse timer here that makes this one flicker every 30 ticks. Another pulse timer that makes it flicker every 16 ticks. Just some arbitrary numbers. And this one here that sets it off every 4 seconds, but keeps it on for 3 seconds. So that should give us some nice variation. If we jump down here, and if I turn my brightness down to what it should be, then this one's flickering. This one's not, though. So let's just change the timings on this one. So every 10 seconds, it will stay on for 1 second. And other than that, it should just randomly flicker. So that should be a suitably creepy corridor. Yeah, that works really well. Excellent. It may be a little bit too dark though, so how about I add in a waxed weathered copper bulb. We light that up permanently. Then we'll cover these lights up with some of these grates. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. And once we get the elevators in, they're going to provide a little bit of light as well, at least when they're up the top. I say they, this one here is going to be a bit more of a crime scene, I think. But anyway, let's stop the flickering while we're working here and get the rest of this done. So, next up, I guess the elevator would make sense, which means I'm going to need some jetpack fuel and a few other bits and bobs. So we'll start off by making a shaft. So we'll stick the doorway in there, meaning the floor is going to be this bit. Then I'm going to use boards to actually build up the elevator. So this is going to be the bit that actually goes up and down. Then for a ceiling, we'll just use smooth stone again, but I do want to put a light in the roof. So if we do a redstone bulb, and I don't have a button with me, but if we give that some power, then that will give that light. Then for the front here, we're just going to build a little bit like that, and use a copycat folding door and give that some iron as well. Then we just need to finish off the inside like this. Okay, so that's our elevator. Now, to actually make the elevator work, what we need to do is remove that block and that block there, probably the one below. Add redstone contacts there and there. So So let's get that light turned on. We're going to need a button here, so that's what's actually going to call the elevator. And then we'll put the elevator pulley up there, and we just need to get that connected to the power, but that'll be easy enough. We need to glue all this together, though. That should be fairly straightforward. If we go from that corner to this corner, then we need some contraption controls, so let's put those in there, and we're going to need to cover that hole. But for that one, we'll just stick a board on the outside. So we're going to need to stick those two things together, and that link there needs to connect up to that board there. So that should be a working elevator. Let's just go down to the bottom and put in a receiving redstone link, and hopefully that's going to work for us. And unless I've done something wrong, it should be fine. So that's the power sorted. If I right-click that, that should now be an elevator. Let's jump in and give it a go. So if we go down to the ground floor, the doors shut. Wonderful. And did the doors at the top shut as well? They did. Excellent. So now we can go back up. Wonderful. One working elevator. Now on this side, we're going to have a broken down one. So we're going to do that. We're going to close the door. Got myself a graffiti can, and we're going to apply some art I made earlier. So should be as simple as that. Oh no, a little bit too wide. Maybe more like that. Perfect. I've got another painting I've prepared for this wall here, just so people have clear direction on what they're supposed to be doing at the start. There we go. That looks cool. Love it. And I've got something else just to help set the tone a little bit. I've sorted out the lighting a little bit just to make it a bit brighter down that end. It was looking a little bit dark. I mean, that might be too bright now, but let's get the floor sorted out and basically just finish off this start of the hole. And then we'll go down the bottom and do the rest. But I'm liking it so far. And it looks pretty creepy from here as well with the lights flickering. Oh dear, just the simple things. Now for this bit over here, I think I want to add some blue ice getting closer to the end. I'm going to add in a couple of bars here as well, just as if it's the partial sort of structure of the floor. Then we need to cover up all of the ice. So we're almost there. I'm just going to add a bell onto the elevator so it dings when it gets to places. Let's get that glued on, and there we go. The inside's looking pretty good. We've got a floor in. I've started the tube that's going to go down as well. Sorted out the start area here. I just need to get some detail on these walls, I think. And of course, we are going to need to actually link up the boxes to dispense out of here. So let's sort out the balls first. If we stick a dispenser in there with a funnel going in, and we'll remove that bit there, put that back over the top, and that one. Then all we need to do is link a belt from there. Then we'll extend that by a notch. Stick another belt in there. And then we can put tunnels over all three of these now. We stick a gearbox in there. Nope, that's going the wrong way. How about in there? Perfect. Now I just need some chain drives. Those there and there, as well as there, and that should start sending us boxes this way. There we go. Let's just get all this covered back up again. Then all we need is a little bit of redstone, that block there, and a button. And we have balls. Excellent. Right, texture on the walls. So I think that's the top floor corridor done. It's looking pretty good. A little bit spooky with the lights going on and off every now and then. Just what we want. And I've also put the tube in that's going to take the boxes all the way down. So now if we go down to the bottom, we get our elevator ding now, which is lovely, but this is where we need to do the second part of the first hole. So I'm just going to put in another corridor similar to the one upstairs that goes off in that direction, and then we'll have the end hole. We'll add a few similar details, maybe some extra pipes and things, but hopefully we should be able to get this first hole looking pretty good. So that's the basic corridor in. We've got some lighting in as well, and I've brought my truck downstairs because it was getting a bit annoying going up the top every time I needed something. But now we need to decorate this, make it look good. I mean, the ball's going to be dropping down most likely along this line here. So if we were to put some basic obstacles in, just like the pipes and things we did on the test level, I think this could work out quite nicely. Let's get some pipe and things added, sort out the floor, and hopefully we'll have a hole we'll actually be able to test. Oh yes, look at that. That's looking pretty cool. So I've added a bunch of weird pipey things like we've got upstairs along the corridor. We've got another door with a creepy dude behind it. I've even put a crack in the wall so you can see some of the internal pipe work. I think that looks pretty good. We've got this whole tank thing which acts as a barrier because basically the boxes are going to be dropping around about here. So originally I was going to put in 2 of these sort of things, but I think just one is probably going to work out a bit better for us because otherwise you land right in front of it and then your only option would be to go that way and and then go that way, and well, that's just no fun and quite annoying. So instead, you drop down, and then you go off in that direction. I've also just added piles of boxes, chutes, a little bit of texture, another one of these sort of wall graffiti things, random stuff, and some doors that go nowhere. And then when you finish, you'd go through this door and onto the next section. But we need to do a test playthrough. So I've also added a little something at the end. So I've got my clubs. Let's start here. And I've done some tests, and the best way to get this down the hole in one shot is to aim for the middle and do a running hit with the 3-iron. Anything else, and you basically won't get down the middle at the start. And even that was a bit of a dodgy shot, so I still didn't make it. But it is doable to do this in one if you get the angle right. Now, let's go for that corner. And I probably should have used the elevator instead of dropping down the hole, but I suppose if you're doing a speed run, at least we know that's an option. Then from here, I reckon I can probably get that straight in. Nope, I went too far. But this is good. I don't want it to be too easy on anyone's first attempt, but ideally, I want them to kind of learn the holes, get better, and then it just comes down to skill for the speedruns. And there we go, we went in, and you may have noticed there was a bell that dinged after the box went down. What I've done, if we jump into free cam and have a little look, and basically below the chutes, we've got some water that breaks the box, pushes everything into this corner, and then we have an observer reading when cobble goes through, which gives out a signal and rings this haunted bell. Just so there's a little bit of feedback. I did consider using fireworks or setting off fireworks every time you get a hole, but the problem with that is I'm going to need a whole lot of fireworks if I want to do that, and I'll have to come and restock, and so on, whereas this way, I don't need to worry about it. But with that, the first hole is done. I'd say it's probably a path 3. I think it took me 4 or 5 attempts there, but it can actually be done in 2. If you get that shot right at the start and you drop down on this bit around here somewhere, then you can just get it straight in. So it's definitely doable. Let's call the elevator and head back upstairs. And yeah, I'm very pleased with that first hole. Only another 17 to go. But sadly, that's going to have to wait for the next episode and probably the 1 or 2 after that. If you've got ideas for holes, cool contraptions we can do, leave comments in the description of your ideas and feel free to share screenshots in my Discord as well. I think we can make a pretty cool golf course here, and keep an eye out for streams as well, because we'll probably be building some of these on Twitch. We'll just hang out and design some holes together. And lastly, of course, if you do want to get hold of these mechs, they will be on my Patreon, available as schematics. You'll be able to download them to your own world, pose them how you like, make adjustments, and make your own variants. I'd love to see some of them too. But if you made it this far, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye now.